Hey there, welcome to a screencast showing how to use the Statcast database on the ASA site. Um, so here I am on the ASA site. If we go to MLB, and Statcast database, and usually it takes a little while to load, so you just gotta be patient. In the meantime, while we're waiting, let's check out who are going to be the starters for today's games. So for the late slate, we have, or the main slate, these are the games starting around 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. We have Toronto at Baltimore, Kansas City at Cleveland, Pittsburgh at New York, Philadelphia at Chicago, Cincinnati at Milwaukee, Detroit at Minnesota, and Washington at San Diego. And we do have the projected starting pitchers. Here we go. So I'm going to select pitchers, and I'm going to select all the possible statistics available in the Statcast database, which has whiff rate allowed, whiff plus foul rate allowed, barrel rate allowed. Barrel rate's actually one of my favorite metrics on the Statcast database. We contact rate allowed, ISO, BABIP, WOBA, and of course, launch angle with exit velocity, WOBA estimated. I'm going to select the last 6 months and versus all types of batters. And then I'm going to type in the pitchers. So it takes a little bit of time, but if you see here, we got Manoah and Akin. So I would just type in the last name. Usually it should show up, populate. And it can be in the primary starter for Baltimore. Then I'm going to have Duffy, Plesac, Brubaker, and Walker. So Duffy, Plesac, Brubaker, and Walker. Then we got Eflin, Alzolay, Hauser, Skubal and Happ, and then looks like we got two of the best pitchers going at it, Scherzer and Darvish. Okay, so we'll hit submit, and you can see it shows us all the Statcast data here. You can sort, like for example, for barrel rate, I can see that Skubal has the worst barrel rate, whereas Darvish has the least, or the most favorable for a pitcher. You can also sort by ISO, so you can do all this stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to download this data and copy and paste. So just do a quick copy and paste. And I'm going to have my own spreadsheet that I have generated to do this analysis. So let me go here, MLB, and let's see, there we go, pitcher summary. And I'm going to paste into there. Now, what I've done here in this extra sheet is created these columns where I'm ranking how each of these pitchers compared to the other pitchers for each of these 8 categories. So you can see here under cell J2, I'm using the rank feature in Excel. So equals rank, and then B2, which is Scherzer's whiff rate allowed. And as a circular reference, I'm doing a B2 to B15. I'm putting the dollar sign next to the 2 and the 15 so that when I copy and drag that those stay static. But when I copy from the columns from left to right, that the columns will change. And of course, I put a 0. Well, I say of course, because I do want this in, as you see here, it kind of tells you I want in descending order. So what this means is that I want the highest one listed first, and then I want to go down in order. So you see the second highest whiff rate obviously belongs to Danny Duffy, the third one to Darvish. And whiff rate's a good thing. It's good to have a whiff rate. So obviously Scherzer ranks number 1 with whiff rate. And then Duffy's number 2, Darvish number 3. We see number 4, actually there's a tie for number 3. Then 5th, the Scooble, and so forth. The next category that I'm going to rank is the whiff plus foul rate allowed. And I also am going to want this to be in descending order because that's a good thing to have. However, barrel rate is, you don't want a high barrel rate, right? You definitely want a low barrel rate. So Darvish has the lowest barrel rate. The worst one looks like belongs to Scooble. Definitely not a good one there. And Hap also has a pretty bad one too. Going to the fourth category, we have weak contact rate allowed. Actually, it's good if you're allowing weak contact. So that's a good thing. So we see that Brubaker has the highest weak contact rates because you don't want the batters making great contact, right? After that, the rest are all going to be in ascending order. So I'm going to be putting a 1 at the end of the rank formula because ISO, BABIP, WOBA, and launch angle, those are all bad things. You don't want to have a high number. You want a low number there. So I'm going to rank that in ascending order. And so then what I do is I add up all those rankings in column R from J2 to Q2. And then I'm going to actually do a sort. And you can see that Darvish ranks as the best pitcher there for today. The worst pitcher looks like our Scooble and Hap. So usually what this means that these are the pitchers I'm probably going to want to attack. Of course, Alzolay and Akin, you wouldn't be wrong in attacking those pitchers. They're not very good pitchers either. And in fact, if you take a look at who they are playing, we see that Baltimore is going against Toronto, and Toronto is obviously a very good offense. Philadelphia also did very well yesterday, and they're going against the Cubs. We said Minnesota and Detroit going against each other, so that might indicate that maybe hitting the over might be a good idea. It's at 9.5 right now. Of course, you have a high over-under for the Toronto-Baltimore game, which 11 does seem very, very high. So, it can also help in kind of determining whether you should take the over-unders. But before I end this analysis, let's actually take a look at Handiness. So this is another great thing about the database here is that you can totally take a look at Handiness is going to play a role. So let's see versus right-handed batters. Download. Because there might be certain hitters, like if you have a lefty who does well against right-handed pitchers, you have a righty who does well against left-handed pitchers, that might be a good way of identifying what batters to go with. So let's go over here, back to my main spreadsheet. Let's paste that in. So you can see I created an extra sheet for last 6 months, right-handed batters, and I could sort that. And interesting, you see that Alzolay actually does well against right-handed batters. So I guess he does very terrible against left-handed batters. Hap is obviously the worst. Scooble's still very bad. So Akin's also right there. Maul also there as well. You see that Darvish has a little bit of trouble against right-handed batters. Then let's actually close that. And this is a nice thing about this site is that the ASA site breaks down by handiness. You can't get this actually on the MLB, like the Baseball Savant site. It doesn't break it down this way. So this is one of the advantages of using this database here. Okay, and then we got against left-handed batters for the last 6 months. So you see I have a sheet here for the last 6 months also. And notice I already had the rankings already kind of worked out before I started the screencast. I already had that formula in there. And let's go ahead and do that. So Darvish does very well. We do see Alzolay's not very good against, actually very high barrel rates against left-hand batters. So this kind of would tip me off that maybe taking lefties like Herrera, Harper, Gregorius might be good options if you're doing a little stack there. And then the last thing I'm going to do is look at the last 2 years, just to kind of see if if the last 6 months might be somewhat misleading. because more data the better. Let me download that. I'll do it against all types of hitters. Probably expect Scherzer and Darvish to be the best. Last 2 years. And then we're adding up the rankings. Let's sort it that way. Yeah, so we see Darvish definitely ranked. So Darvish is probably someone we're going to want to go with tonight. Yes, he is very expensive, but could be a good option. His whiff rate is outstanding. Scherzer's great too, but the Padres offense, they have struggled, but they're still a very dangerous offense. We do see Skubal and Happ again are pretty bad. Alzolay again. So if we look at or Akin, however you pronounce it, yeah, it seems to do a little bit worse against righties. Yeah, Skubal and Happ are just not very good pitchers. So we may want to find the best bats in that game. If we kind of take a look, you could see that, yeah, there's like Cruz, Donaldson, you have like Shoop, Candelario, Cabrera. So there's, some options there. And of course, I mean, you can't go wrong with Toronto. Yeah, so anyway, so that's how you can go about it. And then if you like, you could also then do likewise with the batters. Just go to back here, switch the batters, and then you have to type in the last names. Obviously, that's a lot to analyze, to type in all the batters. Hopefully, there'll be a feature where you can just pop, if you type the team name in, it'll just do a scrape and then kind of read in all that stuff. But that's just something to kind of keep in mind, that you could put the batters in, or if you're kind of narrowing down certain teams, like just for example, we could do really quick with Herrera, Harper, and Gregorius. So if we do Herrera, Harper, and Gregorius, and then we'll do all these here. Last 6 months, and let's look at it versus right-handed pitchers. And that is an outstanding barrel rate for Harper. Kind of okay, nothing great for Herrera, Gregorius. The ISOs are not too bad. How do you compare against left-handed pitchers? You can see that those numbers kind of get worse for Gregorius and Herrera, and definitely for Harper. So, but it seems like Harper is definitely going to be a must for today. So if you do a one-off, that might be one approach, and then maybe stack the Detroit-Minnesota game. Of course, if we do have left-handed pitcher as a prime pitcher for Baltimore, that's obviously a very right-handed lineup there. We could quickly type in some of the Toronto ones to see since they do have the highest implied run total. So let's try that really fast. Versus left-handed pitchers. And I think by now I kind of have most of that lineup memorized. We got Kruchuk, and then we got Bichette, and then we got Biggio. All their fathers are famous baseball players. Not Kruchuk, but Guerrero, Bichette, Biggio. We have Springer. Probably have Teoscar Hernandez. Gurriel and Jansen and Simeon. Just double check I got all those names correct. Should be 9 batters there. And let's see how they've done against left-handed pitchers. Again, barrel rate's one of my favorite ones. That's kind of finding the right combination of exit velocity and launch angle. We do see that we have outstanding barrel rates for Grichuk and Teoscar Hernandez. So those could be kind of cheap, low-owned bats, great ISOs over there as well. I mean, Guerrero obviously is a beast. Simeon's been having quite the year. If you just want to kind of do for all, you see that Springer then kind of jumps to the top of the list there. perhaps that could be a decent stack with Springer, Guerrero, Hernandez, and Grichuk. Last 2 years, we could do this. And again, you kind of see Hernandez, Grichuk still kind of ranked pretty high. So this might be kind of a reasonable stack right there. Of course, try to jam that in with Darvish and Harper. Good luck with that. So you might have to make some decisions somewhere along the way. Look at the pitchers one more time. If you are going to try to be somewhat economical, Walker may not be such a bad option. After all, they're playing in New York, where it's a total pitcher's park against not a very good offense. Offense that doesn't strike out much, slight chance of rain, so you want to be a little bit mindful about that. Of course, you have a slight chance for in Baltimore. So yeah, but this kind of helps you inform decisions that you need to make. Hopefully you found this helpful, and that you can use this database to really make some informed decisions and get a leg up on the competition. So we wish you guys luck, and we'll try to do some more videos down the road.